And today is the first Friday of the month, and that means the Bureau of Labor Statistics should release the October jobs report this morning. But due to the shutdown, this is now the second month in a row without that critical data. And while the gold standard for employment reporting is MIA, some numbers from the private sector are showing the U.S. is on pace to lose more jobs this year since the start of the pandemic. NewsNation's Alicia Nieves, she is on Wall Street with the details here. Alicia, some pretty shocking updates. What's the very latest? Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Kelly. As I've kind of been reporting here, absent the critical government data, the jobs report that we should have been getting today, you've got Wall Street and even Main Street relying heavily on private sector data, particularly this week, data in the labor market that shows at best a mixed picture here. Let me break down some of that data. ADP, for example, that's a private payroll company that just returned a report this week showing slower hiring, cooling wage growth, signs of a weakening labor market. It was a modest 42,000 jobs added in the private sector, although it did technically reverse 2 consecutive months of losses. But then there was this report that's getting a lot of talk that came out after from Challenger, Gray and Christmas, an executive outplacement firm. It's seeing something a bit more dramatic. The data shows more than 150,000 job cuts in October. That's a 175% increase from the previous or the same month last year, and then 183% increase from September's figures. That's the highest we've seen in about 2 decades, since 2003. And it really now pushes the U.S. past a concerning milestone where through October, employers have announced more than 1 million layoffs in 2025. Challenger citing AI as one of the biggest factors contributing to this sizable layoff. And again, this is why, getting government data is so critical and important. Monetary policy makers, investors, they need that gold standard data rather than these private reports that I can tell you, as someone who's covered this for the last couple of years, these private sector reports can often be volatile, and even at times they can be the opposite of what we tend to see from the actual government data. In fact, because they can be so unreliable, last month when we heard from Fed Chair Powell on the rate cut decision that we saw last month, he mentioned the Fed is having to use this private sector data. If it deems the data unreliable moving forward or doesn't give the Fed a good picture of the labor market come December when we're expecting another rate cut, the Fed could be cautionary, meaning the Fed may not make that cut. And that's something that a lot of people do want to see. They want to see rates come down, especially in this current economic environment. Kelly.
Right. And that sort of answers the question I was going to ask, Alicia. How is the White House responding to all of these mixed signals now?
Yeah, when you look at the White House, the reality is, we don't have the full picture here. We don't have that gold standard data, so it's able to kind of avoid dealing with these numbers directly here. I will tell you, the president instead has been highlighting or trying to highlight what he sees as upsides in the economy right now, what he calls economic progress. Even with all these delays in information and the shutdown, President Trump saying on Thursday that more, quote, American-born workers are employed than when he took office almost a year ago. But of course, there is no data right now to support or even deny that. Earlier this week, you had the Treasury Secretary saying that jobs are booming, inflation is falling. However, we don't have that official gauge, that really critical information. So anyone right now can really say anything. And that's what makes this situation questionable when you're having to make monetary policy decisions, or even Wall Street, where I'm at, having to move billions of dollars around, given a kind of blurry picture of where the state of the economy is at, Kelly.
Yeah, you need some clarity first. All right, Alicia, we'll see if we get it soon. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.